And now it's time to open up your ears and your minds, MMA fans. It's time for Rick's Pics. Rick's Pics. Rick's Pics are lots of fun.
My apologies.
And his hair is in a bun.
I forgot I was on camera there.
You already know what it is. Rick's Pics. Ladies and gentlemen,
the perfect way to end
girls,
the perfect kind of day.
You've all been waiting for. It's the new craze taking the world by storm. Live from the Vox Studios in beautiful New York City, it's time for Rick's Pics.
There he is.
Hello.
Hello. Now, other than my mom, I think you have seen... I mean, I would actually argue, there's probably some episodes that my mom has skipped.
Yeah.
You've probably seen the vast majority of the interviews in the history of this program.
Yep.
This is up there, right? Today's up there?
On a whole, yeah.
It was just from Jamal Hill all the way to Bryce there. I mean, that trio was just, I felt like I was on guard. Like, I felt like I had to have my dukes up. I had to be ready.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. I just felt like I had to be ready.
Going in that you were set up for that murderer's row?
No. Jamal Hill? I had no idea. I didn't know there was any kind of beef between us. Are you hearing some kind of feedback?
Yeah.
I see your lips moving. This is why we, Frank would say, this is why we rehearse. It may be because you're wearing that other thing.
I think we're good now.
Okay, we're good now?
Yep.
I had no idea. Jamal, I just met him. I had no idea there was any kind of beef there. This is the problem. This is what I kept saying to people back in the day. And this would be why I would hate going to the media days back in the day, because I would get looks, and if I didn't get to everyone, then they hated me. And this was the problem when they tried to cut my show. I'm like, all you're going to do is bring stress to my life, because now these guys are going to hold grudges against me. Jamal Hill, Exhibit A.
Bobby Green, a little longer standing, obviously.
Longer standing. I'm still not really sure what I did there. By the way, felt like I took some bullets on behalf of your social media. I mean, come on.
You definitely did. Thank you for that. Listen, if
I was like, I have nothing to do with the social media,
if
okay?
I want you to be the voodoo doll. I
thought it was interesting that he mentioned that, like, ever since, we agreed to do this, I was featured on the site a lot more. I mean, I feel like taking the Islam Makhachev fight probably gets you featured on the page more, like there was...
Yeah, look, there's always going to be flimsy kind of justifications for the I see myself more, people will look for themselves more and feel like they were slighted. But I did think he did a good job of saying, like, this is my gripe, this is my beef, and you let him say his piece. And then you guys came to a very amicable
that was nice
conclusion, and I enjoyed that very much. And I think you and Bobby are on good terms now.
I think multiple lessons were learned today. I think Jamal and I...
there were certainly some lessons learned, and there were certainly some things, like, undone, maybe.
Well, no, I think Jamal and I proved that, look, you can have some misconceptions, and you come in and you leave on good terms.
Yep, now you're driving the bandwagon.
Also, I was just about to say driving in the car and the phone sideways.
Yeah.
You have to get into all that. Bobby and I squashed multiple beefs, long-standing beefs. And then I think Bryce and I proved that you can come from different places and still walk away not on the same side of the fence, but shaking hands and being cordial about it. What do you think about that?
That's certainly a takeaway. That is
this my last episode? Am I done after this?
That's a very rosy view on it.
That's the way I feel. I wasn't necessarily offended. I guess not, there's a misconception about me. Like, it takes a lot to offend me. It's really just like family stuff. Once you get into the religion stuff, I get a little bit like, heated a little bit, but I don't get offended by any of this stuff. I really don't.
Well, I'll say the one thing people will say you're sensitive, right? Like you can't take it. The one thing I've always known you to do is, even if something is bothering you, you'll be willing to have the conversation, right? You'll say, come on the show, let's talk about it.
Always.
That has always been the MO, regardless of whether it's something that doesn't bother you, does bother you. You always offer the platform. You always say, let's settle it. And you did that multiple times today.
In fact, I actually forgot one. Henry Cejudo making his
That's right.
I mean, it's been a while since the last time I spoke to Henry on the record.
Yeah.
Was the Monday after his fight against Marlon Moraes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when was that?
A minute.
June of 2019. It's been a while. I feel like I feel like this was sort of a bit of. Am I wrong?
Branch?
Was it or was it not?
Listen, he's booking himself on the show. I think that means something. I think he is saying like, hey, pay attention to me. I want to be back in your orbit. I think that's what that means.
I might have offended him by saying if he asked his dad for permission, but just couldn't.
No, I think he's a big enough boy.
All right,
he'll be all right.
You sure about that? I'm not sure about that.
I think he is. I think Henry is.
I'm not sure about that either. Let's not forget, his coach won't talk to me because I didn't give him the Coach of the Year award. I mean, golly. By the way, still stand by it.
So far, I feel like this is friends of Cejudo.
That's true. Fair enough.
The outer characters, not necessarily Cejudo himself.
All right. Well,
actually, now that I think about it, the entire Cejudo orbit is kind of in one.
Not
position.
Eddie Cha. Eddie Cha's the man. I like Eddie a lot.
Yeah, and not Korean Zombie, obviously, who I thought was great. How about the English busting it out at the end?
Oh yeah. What did Yoon say? Were there any mistranslations, Yoon? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
She's saying no.
She's saying no. It's great.
He was accurate. Eddie was accurate?
Eddie nailed it.
That's good.
And she loves the YouTube channel, and the shout out was much appreciated.
By the way, what is Jamal Hill talking about with the quote? You're more tapped into all of this.
I believe there's a few people that like have recently said a variation on that. I think Euros Medic is somebody who did like the doctors here like put him to something along those lines. I believe that also Jamie Pickett.
I don't remember referencing any of these
said
quotes.
Something to that effect about waking them up because they've been sleeping, and I think he was basically saying that you prioritized other people who have said it over him. That's what I'm off the top of my head saying.
I don't think I've ever said Jamie Pickett or Euros Medic's name on this show.
I think it was like
back in the day.
Back in the day, they said it on there was a social thing and maybe you retweet it. You know what I mean? Like I think you're being pinned down.
Yeah. Here. Happens a lot.
But listen,
you
guys don't undo the progress.
I know, no. We're in a great spot. We're in a great spot. What a great character.
The bandwagon.
205. I like characters like that.
Yeah, I think he's good for that division, and I mean the results speak, man. That dude puts people out. He's not joking when he's talking about putting people to sleep. That guy has some pop.
What a crazy fall, also from Walker.
And it's so like. It's the most Johnny Walker fall. There's no other way to describe it. Like, it's exactly how Johnny Walker would fall, I'm
not making light of this at all, but I think it was actually GC that retweeted someone that said, like, yo, he fell like a cartoon character.
Yeah, he did fall. He was doing Matrix bullet time. He fell like a cartoon. I mean, there's probably 10,000 memes out there. Like,
it's so mean, but it was like, damn.
You know what? It's not. It's mean if it's coming from a place of trying to like dunk on somebody in their lowest moment. And this is tried and true. Like you can go like Rashad, after the Machida. Like this goes back. Like we're all of the worst ones kind of get this treatment. But to his credit, Johnny Walker is on Instagram saying like, look, wasn't my night eating pizza in the room with coaches. And just being like, live to fight another day, or as his coach would say, win or learn, right? Like, I think Johnny Walker's not the type to really like let hit get him down. In fact, I think he'll probably like have a way to have fun with it. Now, I think there's an extreme of that, like when you go in the Tyron Woodley direction, where it's like you're courting and asking for memes to be made. I don't know if he goes quite that far, but I think Johnny Walker is going to be fine, and I think Johnny Walker is going to take it as a lesson and learn from it. But yeah, it can get mean. Certainly it can get mean out there, but I do think people are wanting to have fun with the moment because it's so shocking and something they haven't seen. I don't know if it's necessarily vitriol for Johnny Walker. You know what I mean?
One thing that I hate about social media is that everyone is so quick to like mock, especially people who are on this like extremely high pedestal, like, someone gets dunked on in the NBA and everyone's like, ah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that actually deters athletes because they don't, it used to be you don't want to show up on or end up on like SportsCenter top 10.
Right.
Now you don't want to end up Or now you just don't want to end up like no, even like the regular top 10.
Oh,
like
I see. On the other side of the play, on the wrong side of the play.
Yeah, like let's say Iverson crosses you up, like, I don't want to end up on SportsCenter.
Tyronn Lue is the example, right?
Right. But now I feel like you don't want to end up on Instagram. You don't want to end up on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot of pressure.
Changed.
That's a lot of pressure for athletes.
It is, and you know what? Like, but they'll be the first ones who want to be on the other side of it, right? Why didn't you post my highlight? Why didn't you post my knockout? Look at what I did to this guy. It's a double-edged sword. It's it is what it is. It's the economy of social media.
But could you imagine that happening to you, and then all of a sudden, like if you wanted to avoid SportsCenter 25 years ago, you could easily avoid it.
Yeah, and
now it's like sent directly to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% right. Social media makes it easier than ever for this to happen. I mean, there's a famous example. I was talking about Tyronn Lue. There's a famous example of Frederick Weiss, right? Like after Vince Carter dunked on him, he left the sport and kind of completely checked out.
Yeah. Horrible.
Former Nick Cedric Weiss.
Yeah.
Frederick. Sorry. Weiss. But yeah, no, you're right. It's instantaneous and it's now kind of forever, right? Like SportsCenter would go away. There'd be replays, but it kind of goes away. Now it's eternal and being sent to you directly. You have to have thick skin to be a public figure these days. Absolutely you do. Absolutely you do. But as I said, credit to Johnny Walker. You know, like he's letting it roll off his back and he is taking the right approach to it.
So what do we got?
And that dovetails very nicely into my first Rick's pick for this week.
Okay.
Darren Till.
Oh,
big shout out to Darren Till.
Yeah.
Going to Sweden to train with Khamzat Chimaev at All Stars Gym, putting himself in a bit of a vulnerable position, right? Like everything that people talk, and you know, obviously he's training with more than Khamzat Chimaev, but Khamzat Chimaev's kind of like the centerpiece of this, right? Like the number one, and they're taking all the pictures together. Khamzat Chimaev is notorious, and people have known him to be the one who like breaks people in training. Alexander Gustafsson came on this show and said he trains 5 times a day. Like you're putting yourself in position to get what we're talking about, to get dunked on, right? But Darren Till is letting it ride because he wants to make those improvements. And I think, and you'll see some of the assets coming out. Khamzat Chimaev saying the same thing. He wants to learn and learn from the best, improve his striking with the help of Darren Till, and Darren Till improve his grappling. So shout out to both of them, but in particular Darren Till, because I think he's the one, you know, riding a little lower right now, having to rebuild a bit and taking it in stride and saying, you know, embarrassment, whatever it is, be damned. He's here to learn. I respect that a lot. And he's doing what he needs to do.
Great name, Smash Bros.
Smash Bros, yeah.
Yeah. Also, very smart on Darren's part. He's part of this, I don't know, blockchain. What is it?
Yeah.
The block asset? Is it called a blockchain company? Is that what you would call it? NFT company?
Yeah.
Anyway, they're the one producing this content. And so it's like a great way to get their name out as well. Very smart, very shrewd on his part. So yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere, and they've been very good about supplying this content and putting it out there. They're sending me stuff. They're sending, you know, MMA fighting stuff, all the other MMA news stuff, news sites stuff, and it's very smart. And Till has never been the type of guy to take himself so seriously. So you know that, you know, he looks out of shape. He doesn't really care. And that's what
he looks fine. He looks like a guy who's not have a fight. He doesn't have a fight coming up.
Of course, he looks way better than any other regular schmo.
Yeah, and that's kind of the joke, right? Like Khamzat's giving him guff because he's training 5 times a day, and he's hopefully moving toward a fight coming up. Darren Till doesn't have one. He's just looking to improve and hopefully get himself healthy. I think that's, for me, the most important thing for Darren Till is honestly, the skills of this are less important in my opinion, because I think when he's at his best, he's one of the best in the world. I think he just needs to get healthy. He's taking the right approach. He didn't force himself onto the London card. We'll learn a lot here in a good camp and get healthy and then compete. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah,
these two guys used to like talk real smack to each other. Remember, not that long ago.
Yeah, but I don't think it was ever. I think it was always a little bit playful, because I think they both kind of get it. You know, they're two of the guys who like get that this is a propaganda machine. You got to build these things up. And they're doing it well. Look, you start this, then down the line, you both get into a position where now you do the, former training partners turned rivals. There's so many places you can go from this. It's smart by both of them. It's smart by anybody who's involved in it. And hopefully it pays dividends for both of them.
All right.
Next one, Mike Swick. shout out to Mike Swick, who last week revealed that he's been battling cancer. I believe the timeline on that is he had said for 5 weeks. And now he's at home on his way to recovery. Nothing more than just wishing the best for Mike Swick in his battle.
Amen. Mike Swick, legend.
OG,
the originator of the Swickatine. Yes, I wrote on Twitter that I hope he gives cancer the good old Swickatine. It's a scary thing because that guy is in shape. He appears to be in tremendous health and in great physical strength and all that. And so it's a reminder that it can happen to any of us. And he was doing big things, is doing big things over in Thailand with AKA Thailand. So I echo that sentiment and wish him the best and hope that he's able to knock out cancer and get well soon, very, very soon, get back to 100%.
Yeah, and to your point, talking about, he's in good health and things like that, he didn't know, he had thought for weeks that he was healthy and had been taking tests and found out this unfortunate news. But shout out to Mike Swick.
Amen.
Jim Miller.
Oh, yes.
39 UFC fights, 23 UFC wins, both records tied on the wins front with Donald Cerrone. Obviously, those things alone are worth the shout out. But I think the thing that I love about Jim Miller is he's not doing what is commonly done in MMA with this like foot in, foot out. I'm gonna walk away. I'm not. He's like, look, I don't have many left. I still feel pretty good though. I'm gonna keep fighting, but I got my eye on UFC 300. And I like that. I like the transparency of this. Like he's laying out the timeline, but he's not making any promises. He's not saying this is going to be my last one. That's going to be my last one. He's kind of playing it as it comes. And I respect the heck out of that as a guy who's done it for that long because he doesn't need to. He could kind of, be toying around with it and playing that game, but he's not. And I hope to everything that anybody could hope for, that he gets on UFC 300 because that would be special to fight on UFC 100, 200, and 300. I mean, timeline-wise, where does that put it? Like sometime 2023, right?
I think 24.
Okay, so that's a ways away.
It is a ways away, and he's fairly active. Again, anytime you talk about his success and how impressive it is that he's still doing this, you have to mention the Lyme disease and that he beat that and looked so bad in that stretch and then was able to figure it out and get to this point where he's doing well. I agree with him. Something he said on Saturday, like it's time to get Jim Miller back on some big cards. Enough of Jim Miller in the Apex, right? Like let's get him on a pay-per-view. Let's get him in some big fights.
And maybe not Jim Miller against, rising debutant. Like
I couldn't believe he was the underdog.
That's kind of how it is. Like
After Jim Miller looked that good in his last fight?
Well, it's kind of like Jim Miller's supposed to... The way this is supposed to go is Jim Miller's supposed to be fed to the lions.
Right.
They eat him. They build off his name, and then he's just not letting it happen.
Right.
And, we're thankful for that and happy for that. But, that's not what's happening. I like that he's calling out Cerrone and Lozon, the winner of that fight. I think that's fun. That would be fun. That'd be interesting. That's kind of where I want to see Jim Miller, to be honest. Like,
agreed.
I'm not into these fights. I don't think they do much for him. I don't think they do much for the opponent. Like, this isn't the way.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I'll also say that in pro wrestling, I always love when there's someone who's trying to get to something that isn't what everyone else is getting excited about. For example, like everyone wants to be the champion, but recently I love the fact that Xavier Woods was saying, I want to be the King of the Ring winner. No one says I want to be the King of the Ring winner. Or back in the day, someone was like, I want to be the IC champion. Everyone wants to be the heavyweight champion. I want to be the IC champion because there's prestige involved. There's a history. I want to be the hardcore champion. Jim Miller isn't talking about, I want to make a lightweight title run. He's talking about, I want to make it to UFC 300. By doing that, number one, he's making 300 feel like a special thing, which it would have been regardless. But I love the fact that his goal right now isn't even a title run. His King of the Ring, his IC belt is UFC 300. And you need mid-card storylines like that. You know what I'm saying? And I just love the fact that he has put this goal out. He keeps talking about it. He keeps harping on it. He keeps building it up. And it's going to be amazing in 2 years when he hopefully achieves that goal. It's going to be great. He's going to have now 3 years worth of interviews to go back and be like, I kept talking about this, willing this into existence. I think it's great. What a legend. Yeah. By the way, question for you. Jim Miller, Hall of Famer?
Oh, boy. See, here's the problem with this when you ask about this. It's the UFC Hall of Fame, right?
Not the UFC Hall of Fame. If there was a true MMA Hall of Fame.
So you're asking a different question. Okay.
Given his body of work.
Oh, boy.
In the world of MMA.
I'm going to say no.
Wow.
I'm going to say no.
Most wins.
My Hall of Fame is going to be a little more like the Baseball Hall of Fame than the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but over time, people don't get in first ballot.
If I'm making a Hall of Fame, this is my personal opinion. If I'm making a Hall of Fame for MMA, it's going to be more baseball than basketball. Not everybody who did anything in the entire sport is getting in. There is going to be a bar. There is going to be a requirement. And look, being a champion's not going to be a requirement, but it's going to be something that definitely says something. You know, being a champion in one of the major organizations is something that I think will, separate the rest of the pack.
I agree with you on the basketball thing. They let too many people in, even though it's cool to see them. It's a little bit wacky.
Too many.
Baseball, I think, is actually too strict.
Too strict? Yeah. I mean, I lean that direction. I'll be honest. That's more where I go.
You also said LeBron better than
Jim Miller.
So who's going to listen?
Yeah, I mean, that's an obvious statement.
Crazy statement.
It's
one of the worst hot takes of all time.
How could you even argue it at this point? Like the careers
one guy's undefeated in the finals, the other guy.
Yeah, one guy has 2 decades of dominance. Like basketball is a team sport.
What does dominance mean?
Averaging
getting swept in the finals?
Yeah. Michael Jordan wasn't even making the finals. You can't just when LeBron goes to that many finals.
Yeah.
Then obviously there's going to be some
crappy Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Oh, because MJ's Eastern Conference was.
Have you heard of the New York Knickerbockers in the 90s?
I heard of those.
Have you heard of the Detroit Pistons that he beat? Have you heard of the Indiana Pacers?
The Detroit Pistons that he got beat down by.
And then beat.
Yeah. Okay. So LeBron did the same thing, right?
Listen, I love LeBron. I'm not a LeBron hater, but it's a crazy comment.
No, it's not even. I would honestly say it's almost laughable to consider Jordan.
Oh, that's a crazy comment.
The career,
you can have the debate. I agree with something that they said yesterday on TNT. It's like, why do we need a greatest? Why can't they just be like?
I hate that. Terrible.
Why?
Terrible take.
Why?
Take a stand.
Different.
The stand is MJ. Oh, participation trophies.
No, it's not participation. But it's okay to say every era had different guys. Like to your point earlier, Bill Russell was the best back in the 60s.
They cross over enough era that
MJ and LeBron, but not Bill Russell and
those
Shaq.
are further removed. And I have a hard time with those. LeBron and MJ,
but you're also
similar
biased.
enough.
You'll admit you're biased.
I'm not. In fact,
what are you talking about?
LeBron's not even like top 10 of my favorite players. Maybe fringe top 10.
He's a Cavs
very
great
significant.
who delivered their only championship. So you're biased. You have to say you're biased. What are you talking about?
I'm not.
What do you say?
If I didn't truly believe LeBron, was better than MJ, I wouldn't say it. I don't think it. I think objectively, the 2 decades of dominance, the career milestones that he's hitting, the pressure that he faced when he came into the league at 18 years old to do what he's done.
It's all great.
Quite frankly,
it's great for number 2.
And quite frankly, he's done more off the court that matters. You know,
that's not the debate. We're talking about on the court. We're not talking about who's a better guy.
We're talking about greatness. Yeah. Well, I think the on the court stuff is significantly better as well.
Also, you forget that Jordan went to go play baseball. I had a great run there. And then I don't care. Listen, I would like it to not be Jordan. I hated Jordan as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm some Jordan lover.
I think LeBron has him in the rear view. That's crazy. That's my opinion.
You can't lose that many times in the finals and have him in the rear view.
When Jordan was at the point in his career that he was playing for the Wizards, getting smoked by people, LeBron is dominating the league still. I mean, it's just a completely different thing.
Bubble title
longevity.
By the way, that's one of the worst. That's one of the worst hot takes. That one didn't count. That one didn't count.
As if everybody else wasn't in the bubble too. Like it was just the bubble for them.
Stupid. I don't even know how we started talking about this. How did we start talking about this?
Because I tweeted about it. But
no. But right now. Oh, because you said something about the basketball. It's going to be more like the baseball Hall of Fame than the basketball Hall of Fame.
Michael Jordan's pretty great. I can't even pretend.
Jim Miller is a Hall of Famer.
I don't agree. He's a Hall of Great. He's a Hall of Very Good. He's not in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately.
You're going to have no one in your Hall of Fame. You're going to have like
Absolutely
25
not
guys.
True. Absolutely not true. Yeah, for now, and then as the sport continues to grow, I mean, the Hall of Fame starts out. Look, he just doesn't have enough, in my opinion, to cross that bar. Love him.
UFC event.
Fan favorite.
UFC event 2023. Are they bringing out the top 30 fighters in UFC history at a ceremony?
That type of deal. Yeah, I mean, look at how successful it was for the NBA. 50 and 75.
Is there any chance they do this? Could you imagine?
No, because I think
they have too many grudges.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to bring out people that are never going to make the UFC Hall of Fame.
How cool would it be?
How cool would it be? It'd be amazing. Look, Randy, even if it was the UFC, even if it was only the UFC,
that's what I'm saying. UFC, because it'll be 30 years of UFC.
I'm saying they get to choose it. Like even if they curated like their
that would be whack. No, that would take away.
No doubt in my mind that it would take away from it. But I think some kind of celebration of the year marks.
They do such a poor job of this. Such a poor job.
Well, I think they do a better job, and it's kind of the UFC's MO of celebrating the UFC's history, right? Like the UFC's milestones, that type of thing, but not the individual athletes that contribute to that necessarily.
What is the difference? What do you mean by that?
Like it's for example, a celebration of NBA 75. They brought out all 70. Well, they tried to, obviously some have passed and some didn't attend.
Those fake
the Larry Bird one and Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
They tried to celebrate the individual athletes as opposed to saying like this is 75 years of our history, the NBA's history, and focusing on the brand and focusing on the league.
It's more a celebration.
Exactly. It's a celebration of the athletes and their individual contributions and moments. The UFC does a very good job, and it's the nature of this beast and why the UFC is so successful of celebrating like UFC's history, right? This is their lineage. This is their This is how they've progressed over the years. The athletes, and I think the UFC Hall of Fame does a decent job of this. That's probably the one place that does the best job of it. When they bring them out and have those speeches, they do celebrate them there, and I think that's probably the best way that it's done. It leans more toward the organization. And naturally would. There's not as much history for the athletes. Some of them had shorter careers. There's various reasons, but I would like to see something like that. Absolutely. And I know you tried to do that.
I did it like last year. I did it late last year when they announced the 75 and there was all that kind of debate like about T-Mac and Klay Thompson not making it. Like, let me see.
Dwight Howard, biggest snub by far.
No, I think T-Mac for sure.
Agree to disagree.
T-Mac for sure. If Klay doesn't get injured in 2019, he's probably in as well because he's been active. I love Dame, but I think T-Mac probably.
Dame's got to go. Dwight Howard, NBA champion, dominated a certain era. He belongs there.
Whatever. I think it's a fun debate.
But these types of debates are fun, right? This is something
fun.
That the UFC could benefit from, and MMA as a sport
and they don't embrace this. Like there's enough time that has passed where it goes from, the Hoist years to the Coleman years and Dan Severn and, everything that came afterwards. Like, man, wouldn't that be something where you have like all those dudes there, regardless of their relationship, you bring them out, you do a quick ceremony in the cage, they walk down the freaking aisle. Like, how cool would that be? To their music? I don't know.
It'd be extremely cool, but much like, I mean, it's not, I'd say UFC's Hall of Fame is more similar to WWE's, right? Like they get to choose, and
WWE way more inclusive. Way more inclusive.
Perhaps. I can't say I'm as versed in it. But
they've brought in some people who,
They have.
And there's some who haven't. There's some who, aren't on the best of terms. Bottom line is, there needs to be an independent MMA Hall of Fame. Like the fact that there isn't, there's a Hall of Fame for every crazy thing out there. How there isn't an MMA Hall of Fame is just an absolute travesty to me. A travesty. There is enough MMA history at this point, even way before 93.
Yeah.
I mean, Ali Inoki, you could go back to, like, there's just so much. There needs to be an MMA Hall of Fame. I wonder where it would go.
Got to be Vegas, right?
You think so? Maybe Denver. First UFC event.
Yeah, but then you're making it a UFC thing once again.
Not necessarily. That's just kind of where, like, the sport was born here in America, but yes, maybe Vegas as well. It didn't really start in Vegas.
The fight capital,
Yeah, sure. I'll take Vegas. But, most Hall of Fames are in these, Springfield, Massachusetts, Canton, Ohio, Cooperstown.
Yeah.
It's in these off the beaten path places.
Yeah.
Hockey's in Toronto. But other than that, like it's in three very small towns.
Look, it could be a destination.
I'll say that Denver's a small town, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying though.
Yeah. Would be nice.
Vegas is a little more action, a little more lively oriented.
For now, this wall will be the MMA Hall of Fame.
Listen, and there's
There's a lot of big names here.
Yeah, it's filling up.
Yeah.
You've inducted a lot of people just this year alone.
Yes.
I feel like it was not a lot of inductions for a long time, and now all of a sudden
it's just ramping up.
now it's
Everyone
picking up.
wants to be, soon we're going to have Bryce Mitchell up here.
Jamal Hill is
Jamal
next
Hill
for
is going
sure.
to be, yeah.
No, it's great.
All right. Anything else? That's it?
Nah, last one. Shout out to Bobby Green. He was
Bobby Green.
He was last week, but
A real one.
a real one. As
I like the fact that he said, I may never come back on the show.
again, a real one.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Just letting you know, like he didn't want to do it.
It's like
Aired
Strickland.
it out.
Strickland said the same to me. Thanks for having me on. There's a very good chance I'll never be back on your show. I was like, all right, cool. Thanks.
That
man.
one though feels a little bit more like joint
totally.
decision, right? Like
No, I asked him to come on. After the Hermanson fight, I said, I'll be happy to have you on.
fair enough.
Listen, it doesn't bother me. Maybe I'm crazy, but this stuff doesn't bother me. Now, I could say I think a lot of this, I don't agree with a lot of this stuff, but I've always been more attracted to the people who are different than me.
Sure.
I do think a lot of the stuff on the truckers, though, is wrong, but, I'm not going to get into all that.
Yeah, again, you disagree, but
Right.
you're having the conversation.
All right. We're done. Thank you very much. There he is, New York Rick, everyone. Shout out to him.